Hey, BookTube. Sadly, I have to begin my Friday reads by talking about sexual harassment within the BookTube community. How disgusting is that? I am certainly disgusted. Yesterday, a booktuber who I subscribe to, a female booktuber, went public, not on BookTube, but on another platform, with accusations that she knows of 7 young female booktubers who have received unwanted predatory attention from a booktuber. This is just really devastating for me to hear, and I am really upset about it. I believe the accusations. I want to support her and the women that she is speaking out on behalf of, and the one easy step that I did toward that end, the one thing that was easy to do, was I disinfected my subscription feed. I am not going to disclose anybody's names out of a deep respect for the courage of this female booktuber in coming forward on behalf of these other women, and I am just thinking that they will take their time to come forward and identify themselves or whatever. I'm not mentioning anybody's names here. I believe the accusations, and BookTube apparently is having a Me Too moment that is long overdue. Well, let's deal with it. Please don't ask me in the comment section below for any identifying information. These women will come forward or not as they see fit, and I support them 100%. And I hope you will too. Sexual harassment is just such scummy behavior, and there is no place for it anywhere in the world. And that includes BookTube. I deeply regret that this needed to be explicitly stated, but apparently it did. Alright, let's go back to Sean the Bookmaniac's regularly scheduled, frivolous, silly, ranty style. Hello BookTube, I'm Sean the Bookmaniac. Welcome back to my channel. It's raining today. It just looked cloudy, and the weather said it wasn't going to start raining for a few more hours, so I packed everything up and opened my front door, and it's raining. So here I am. But I have my new frock for you, and I have had a pretty interesting reading week. So what will I start with? I will start with the books that I bailed on. I think there's only one. I have bailed on May Sarton's novel, The Magnificent Spinster. This was to be a buddy read with Heidi of My Reading Life, and I am sorry, but I didn't like it at all. And I bailed near the end of the first long chapter. This is a story perhaps somewhat autobiographical. I have no idea. I didn't do any research on it. I absolutely hated it. It's about a woman that died as an old spinster. And the story is told from one of her best friends. And she was so annoying, and the narrative structure was so annoying, because she said, after the funeral, I want to write what a wonderful person she was. And it just, I don't mean to make fun of little old ladies, because I love little old ladies, but what I just did for you was how I was experiencing the entire narrative. It was just sickly sweet, sentimental, and the main character was like a Pollyanna. And I scanned the negative reviews. Most people love this book, but the negative reviews consistently said that the main character was painted so positively that it was just like, ah! I felt, as I said in my Goodreads reviews, I felt like I was trapped in a little old lady's living room, and she was wearing way too much perfume, and she was telling me the story of her best friend who had recently passed away. And it was just like, get me out of here! So I bailed. Heidi is having a very different experience. She's quite enjoying it. It's reminding her of stuff from her life, and that's great. Just wasn't for me at all. Ugh. So that was my bail. I have finished a pile of books. And again, I have a very negative experience of this next novel, which is almost canonical and much loved. And I'm sorry, I hated it. It was Toni Morrison's Song of Solomon. I loved it at the beginning, and it just... I thought it was awful. I think I'm done with Toni Morrison. I loved Her Beloved, and I've hated or not enjoyed everything else I've read by her, but I was always holding out for this one because everybody says, oh, this is one of her best. Well, I don't get it. It's not that the writing wasn't wonderful. The writing was wonderful. But the story was so purposelessly weird and stretched like gargoylishly so that we were supposed to feel compassion for one of the female characters because she'd never been able to forgive her brother for peeing on her or something. There was just weird stuff throughout the novel that's character like one of the characters, a cousin of the main character, they had a romantic sexual relationship, and then she got jealous and she kept trying to kill him, and this was used as a comic plot device. And I'm supposed to care about these people? There was a whole bunch of macho bullshit that was just like eye-rollingly. I don't care about any of this. There was a whole bunch of stuff that could have been explored in an interesting and emotionally rich way about racism in the American South and in America at large. Murdered African Americans, and it was all just turned inside out and made madcap almost. I really dislike this intensely. 1 star. Ugh! The rest of my Friday reads will be much more positive, alright? I finished the Welsh novel, and I'm going to double check the pronunciation. I just looked up a video by a man who has the same first name, and he says the first part is like egg, and the second part is like pint. So, Geraint, that's it. Geraint Goodwin, a 1936 novel from Wales. The Heyday in the Blood. And as many of you know, I have a fairly newfound fascination with Welsh literature, and this is one of Charlotte of Tired Mama Tries to Read's top 3 Welsh novels that she recommended to me. And I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't a 5-star read for me, but I did quite enjoy it, and there were parts of it that I really loved. It is about a rinky-dink, if we can use that slang adjective for Welsh novel from the 1930s, but a small village set in the 1920s, and the way of life is disappearing throughout the course of the novel. And the description of the town and the way the town was changing and being encroached upon by big bad old England, it was a border town, was fascinating and so beautifully done. There's also a kind of a love triangle plot, and I thought it was quite muted, and I almost missed certain details. And maybe it was just because I was more fascinated by the overall story of the town and its inhabitants than I was by the love story. But I thought it almost wasn't there, the love story. Didn't care about it so much. So I took off a point for that. But it was really an interesting read. So much vocabulary. I'm going to have at least one full episode of In Other Words. And it wasn't necessarily Welsh vocabulary, a little bit, but just other interesting words this guy used. So the writer died in his mid to late 30s, not many years after this novel was written, and it's quite an autobiographical story from what I understand. I thought it was great, and I recommend it to you. It's available on ebook on Scribd. And what I'm most excited about in terms of what I finished is this, which I finished about an hour ago. Olivia Manning's novel, School for Love. I believe it was a 1951 novel. Yes, and it's set in Jerusalem in 1945, just after World War II has ended. It's about a young boy. I don't think he's a teenager. Beyond that, I'm not sure. If he's older than 12, he's kind of more emotionally 12 because his mother has died and his father had been killed in the war not long before that. So he's newly orphaned, only child, and he's sent because there's nobody else to take care of him to live with a adoptive cousin of his father's in Jerusalem. And wow, she's a piece of work. That's all I'm going to say for now. Later today, I will be meeting up with my friend Cecilia from Singapore, who's in town this week. I read this because she had recently read it, and we're going to film a video talking about it, so stay tuned. 5 stars, absolutely loved it. watch the video if you're interested in more details, but this was absolutely incredible. And it matches my blouse. So that's what I finished. I have started a bunch. I have started 3 novels. I have started Jeet Kyle's novel Narcopolis, published 2012, nominated, shortlisted for the Man Booker that year. Really enjoying it. This is not quite a buddy read, but a video discussion that Natalie of My Reading Days and I are doing on our channels. I posted my thoughts on the first half of this novel on my channel a couple days ago, and she posted hers on her channel the next day. There'll be links to all that in the show notes. We'll finish it up in the next few days and post our final thoughts. Really enjoying it. Check out our videos. But yeah, this is really great. At least a 4-star read. I'm predicting maybe 5 stars. That's all I'll say for now. I can't say much about the BookTube prize reading I'm doing other than to tell you that it's in progress. I have started Happiness by Aminata Forna, and I have started There by Tommy Orange. So those are underway. So that's what I've started. In the coming week, in fact today or certainly tomorrow, I'm going to start Ocean Vuong's debut novel, On Earth, We Are Briefly Gorgeous. This is a buddy read with Dan of the Weird Book Club. And he got his copy. I wasn't waiting for him to get his copy, but I happened to get mine earlier than I expected. And then he got his the day before yesterday, and he started reading it immediately, and I couldn't get to it with finishing up other stuff for other deadlines. But I'm going to start it either today if I have time, but certainly tomorrow, and catch up to him, and dying to get into this. I think he's really liking it. I haven't listened to his Voxer messages because I don't want any spoilers, but certainly I've been hearing rave reviews of it. And I don't know what else I might start. I don't have any other buddy read starting, or do I? No, I don't have any other buddy reads starting in the next week, so I expect to finish stuff up, so I will at least get to this one from the Queer Lit Readathon, Visits, the memoir by BBC journalist Peter Robbins with the fabulous cover. This is one that I definitely want to read this month. And let me give you an update on the Read the Middle East Readathon. I don't think I explicitly said this in my TBR video, which I'll put a link to in the show notes, but the readathon goes from June 22nd to July 1st. But if I'm going to meaningfully participate, I'm just going to start reading anytime this month that I feel like to get started on it. I did the page 112 tag to whittle down the stack of 6 books I had down to 3. And it was a valuable process, but I didn't grasp how valuable it was until after I had edited it and posted it and received your feedback, which was really, there was only one of those books that I liked well enough to bother reading. So that's the update. After you having watched all 20 minutes of that, it's really only my top pick that I'm now planning to read from the ones that I featured the page 112 from. I did pick the top 3, but pick number 2 and number 3 didn't really do very much for me either. And you were all commenting saying you didn't seem very excited by any of those except the first pick. And yeah, that's right. That's what page 112 is for. I don't have to just read the top 3. I can still reject as uninteresting the ones that didn't really interest me. So, of those 6, I'm only planning to read this one, Samarkand by Amin Maalouf, and I quite possibly get started on it in the coming week. And then I tacked on a couple ones at the end of the TBR video that I didn't feature the page 112 for. And I'm going to try one or both of those as well, but not in the coming week. But rather than the ones, those other books are all going out of the house. They were just a bad bunch, weren't they? So that's what I may get started. Things have a way of changing day by day, so might have a very different report to give you next week than I'm outlining prospectively now. I have recently started a tradition of shouting out videos that are just in my subscription feed at the end of my Friday reads, and I am abandoning it, or at least I'm not going to do it regularly. It adds almost an extra hour to the editing process to do all that typing and find those links and paste them in. So it's just not. Plus, lots of booktubers, myself included, tend to post at the same time, the same day and time every week. So I'm really shouting out a subset of the booktube videos that I love, And I could take a step back and give you a much more curated list of the videos that I've really enjoyed. I know Steve Donahue has done that on his channel often, and I love that idea, but I don't have time to do that, not on a regular basis. So I'm not going to do it anymore, but a lot of you liked it, so I would say, please do it on your own channel, because it's great, but it just adds a lot of time to the fright. And this is not a complaint, but this is just a true fact. My Friday reads from start to finish takes up almost the entire Friday. And adding that extra 30 to 60 minutes to do the shout outs of the videos, it doesn't seem like it should take that long, but I'm doing all of my editing and typing on my iPad. My desktop computer is basically unusable. So it just, yeah, no, it's too much. It's just not something I want. I'm going to continue on a regular basis. Occasionally, when my Friday reads is under 10 minutes, I may still do it just to round it out, but not on a regular basis. All right. In respect for the very serious issue I began the Friday reads with, I'm going to end with a similar PSA, and hope everyone's having a happy Pride Month. Thanks for watching.
Stand up! Stand up! Stand up! Stand up!